Now, Keith Ronholm was in Bear Meadow, and he was taking pictures because he's an enthusiast, and he wanted to get some pictures. And he was more than an enthusiast. He was a professional. And this was 10 seconds after the eruption, and Keith knew at that point in time that it was probably a bad time to be taking pictures. This is just 4 seconds later, so it's 14 seconds post eruption, and Keith takes this picture. You'll notice these streaks right in here. These streaks are hunks of glacial ice the size of a small house, half the size, some of them, of this church, picked up and thrown out in front of the volcano. Keith Ronholm continued to take pictures. I'm not sure why. He would sit there, and have you heard his tape? Any of you ever heard his tape? He has a live tape. You can go up to Johnson Riggs Observatory, and you can actually get the tape. And they play it for you if you don't want to buy the thing. But he's running, and you hear him going, oh no, oh no, like this. And then you hear this pause. This guy's crazy. See, I didn't want to call him crazy until you had the chance to share what I heard. This thing is coming at 200 miles an hour. It's a ground-hugging slurry of steam and ash. It has a wind component in front of it, initially at 650 mile an hour wind. As the wind pushes out, as the steam and ash comes crackling along, trees just all disappearing immediately. And this thing has a temperature of 650 degrees Fahrenheit. He wasn't prepared. 8 minutes later, he takes this picture. And this is what saved him. He was in not quite Bear Meadow. He was on the ridge of Bear Meadow. He went over the ridge, and as he ran, and fortunately he got just down enough on the ridge that when the slurry of ash and steam hit, it did a little lick, and then came back over again. And that's why he's alive and telling his story, is simply because of this. Now, there's a man who I mean to write to. To me, this would be a kind of a moment of time that would change my life. The mountain the volcano eventually erupted upward, but its main damage was out to the north. And this is what makes it such an absolutely perfect laboratory for study. The volcano gave off initially 20 million tons of TNT, that power when it blew out. It was a 9-hour volcano, and during that 9 hours it put out 420 million tons of TNT in terms of power. Now, what that equates to is 33,000 A-bombs. The same size bomb that did Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 33,000. That's one A-bomb per second. That's how much power this little volcano is putting out. Now remember, it's 280 times that size in the Mono Lake area, and it's 2,000 times that size, the best they can guess, in Yellowstone. And at 9:15, 43 minutes later, you could see the clouds here, the difference here. That's not a cloud, see? This is just a ring of atmospheric change as the volcano is exploding. This is from one of the Landsat satellites taking this picture, again, 43 minutes after the explosion. Later on in the afternoon, toward the end of the day and early the next day, it had already gone into 5 different states. The ash went clear around the world. Yakima, which I just got done doing a presentation, and everybody everybody looked at this, and I asked them if they recognized this sign. It's got to be unique. But nobody did. But this is Yakima, and Yakima just was dumped so much ash that you had to wear masks. People that didn't have masks, some died. Some with just respiratory illnesses died. Cars locked up and stopped. I mean, you couldn't take that much ash, which is just tiny little rocks, and do this. What happened in Mount St. Helens, and what happens with an ash and steam volcano, is that that magma made it. It burst through. It gave more power. But when the magma was coming up, there was so much steam that the steam frothed the magma. And when you froth the magma, out comes ash, and it remained that way. So there was never actual emergence of magma turning into lava running down the mountainside. At the end, this is where Goat Rock was. You're looking at the mountain going from 9,677 feet down to 8,350 feet. That is about 1,300 feet of the mountain blown off. And again, the total volume was about, what did I just say? 1.82838. I just said it. It should be 3/8 of a cubic mile of total material blown off of this mountain. You are looking from the north to the south. Here's the crater. Over here is Spirit Lake. And then, of course, this is heading west. 15 miles away. Spirit Lake, when this mountain exploded, it dumped the 300 feet of material as it was exploding. It just added. But the initial impact, the wind and the blow, took this lake and washed the lake up, and it made an 860-foot high wave. 860 feet. And it washed down all the trees back into the lake. And if you go over, now here's Spirit Lake, and you look off to the west here, all of this used to be all dug out. This is right in front, in here, in the area of the Pumice Plain, there was over 600 feet of debris. You have to dig 600 feet down to get to the pre-eruption level. And the average was 300 feet of debris that was put off on this. In 6 minutes' time, there was over 150 square miles of forest destroyed. There was over 230 square miles total of forest just completely destroyed, knocked down and cracked. The Pumice Plain area and the magma ash, not magma, the ash laying on the top here, temperatures of between 500 and 600 degrees Fahrenheit.